So this is a really easy rock and roll rhythm guitar part I'm going to show you. Only uses one finger for the main part, and then I'm going to show you how to embellish it, make it a bit funky with the third finger. Let's have a listen to the rhythm. Okay, getting a better angle for you. So we're going to play this thing. Okay, so all I've really got going on, I've taken my first finger with my left hand and I'm playing an A5 chord. Using the low A, the A string, that'll be your second thickest string. Okay, just get that a bit clearer for you so you can see the strings. There's my 6 strings. So the second one down, actually classed as the 5th one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the A. I'm using that note, and my finger is actually going on the D string, so that's the string below that at fret number 2. So I've got finger 1 on there, and with that pressed on, that should give me this note on that string, and I should have the A note nice and clear. When I play them together, I get a chord by the name of A5. Now you may struggle at first just to get the clarity on the note, and you may struggle to only hit 2 strings. You may find yourself hitting lots of strings like that, but just persevere with it. So that's basically an A5 chord, and the nice thing about that is that just by moving everything down 1 string, I get a D5 chord. So my left hand finger will now move down to this string, same fret, still in fret 2, but I've gone to the G. That's the 3rd up from the floor. If you're on acoustic guitar, that'll be your last steel string. If you're playing a classical type guitar with nylon strings, that's going to be the first kind of plastic string next to the steel one. So there we go. And now my plucking comes down to use that D string, and if we'll just get a bit closer for you, I'm going to use that string and this one. That's the one that my finger's on now. So that gives me the D5. So I can have A5, or I can move everything down, my finger and the strumming, get a D5. So for example, I might go on the A5, I might do 8 strums like this. And I could then move down to the D5. I can come back up, A5. And now I can move this finger up to this string. I move the plucking up to these strings and I get an E5. There's an E. This is the note that my finger's pressed on. And I get the E5. And A, D and E go together well in music. Without boring you to tears with a music theory lesson, they just do. They sound good together. We can look at more of that later. But anyway, if you're playing with these 3 chords, it's probably going to sound nice to begin on the A chord. And then you could go any direction really. You could go from the A5 to the E5, like this. Or a bit faster like this, a bit double time. I could do the same from the A to the D, or any kind of combination. I could make it up. And if you're really new to this and you're finding that's a little too quick, you can just slow it all down, and it's still going to sound good. Okay, now that's the basis. The other thing that I can do to make it sound a bit more really like proper classic rock and roll, a bit like kind of if any of you have ever heard of Buddy Holly, a very famous rock and roll singer. There's a song called That'll Be the Day. Now it actually plays this song with the capo up here, and it's like a clamp on here, so that I can kind of play everything higher up. Okay, but anyway, if I play that lower instead without the capo, essentially get this. Now I'm not going to explain that bit today, but this bit then goes into this. And so on and so on. And that's just one example where you can see this kind of thing being done. Bands like Status Quo kind of made a trademark of this sort of. And so on. So you can hear lots of frilly fancy bits that I've added on. I was adding some extra fingers, but the basic part is taking that A5 that we looked at, the A5, D5, E5, and now the first addition we usually come to is adding this third finger. Now this can get really tricky. Adding this third finger to the same string that your first finger is already on. So your first finger is playing fret 2, and we play the chord. Let's do this, in this case we'll do it twice. And then this third finger, that's the next to your pinky, is going to come on the same string, so it effectively cancels out the first finger temporarily, and we get 2 of those. Notice I was still playing both strings at once, and I'm trying really hard not to let this finger get in the way of this string. So I'm going. Okay, now when you try to do it, now that'll sound great, taking the same ideas as before, messing around with the sequence of the chords, but adding this embellishment, or fancy bit if you like. So I could go. Or slower. Sometimes a really common rhythm to do is not to add 2 of this finger, like this, but just to put 1 on. And you'd think of that as 1 ah, 2 ah, 3 ah, 4 ah, 1 ah, 2 ah, 3 ah, 4 ah, and you'd only let this finger go on for the actual number 2 or the number 4. 1 ah, 2 ah, 3 ah, 4 ah, and that'll give you this. So really, you could make up a very specific pattern. You could make something up and keep to the order that you like. You might do 8 A5s with the finger going on the 2 and the 4. You might go to 4 lots of D, or you could just play around with it. If you're really new to this, you might just be getting used to the stretch. So one little thing about the stretch before I finish this video off is you can see how my third finger is reaching up quite nicely to the 4th fret. It's totally skipping over fret number 3, the one that I've got a dot on. You might not have a dot on, depending on your guitar, but anyway. The important thing to remember, especially if you're small, if you're a child and you're not fully grown yet, or if you're a parent helping a child, you're going to find that the thumb of the left hand may be sticking over the top like this, which is really normal and okay in a lot of cases in contemporary guitar. It can work fine for a lot of chord shapes and various melodies that are being played, but occasionally that's going to restrict the fingers when you need to stretch out to do bigger shapes. See, I couldn't possibly stretch out like this. With my thumb around the back like this, my fingers would be hard to reach up. Okay, so if, for example, when you play the A5 and you try to add your third finger here, it just doesn't get there, you find instead it's wanting to stay in this fret, or it's only just getting in, you're going to have to adapt your hand position. How can I show you this? Let me get a clear position. Looks amazing. I've just come unplugged. One sec. So, what you might find is that from this angle, you'll see your hand like this, with your palm gripping onto the neck of the guitar. What you want to do to make that stretch possible is take your thumb and use that as the pivot at the back of the neck. What that really does is takes the palm of your hand off from the guitar neck, because of course that restricts your finger movements. You can only get your fingers so far, whereas if your thumb has come round, then effectively your hands come further around the front. If I do that from that angle, probably more clear. So here I am struggling to reach up, and I can put my hand like this. I've got a lot more reach. It allows me a much bigger reach. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. I'll do that one more time for you. Okay, the basic, A5, D5, E5. And I'll just turn this sound to be a bit less crunchy. So we're going to go... And there's, there's various patterns we could play. Or the added finger. And of course we could make it bouncy, or what you would call the shuffle. And so on. So, hope you have fun with that. Any problems? Email me or contact me on Twitter or Facebook. I'll put the links below. Okay, thanks.